Hi, it's Carolyn. I'm here to help you learn how to bake and decorate amazing cakes. And in this video, there's something that's been happening to me that has been giving me the ick. And do I sound weird saying ick? I'm 46. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but just something that keeps happening that is super annoying. And I want to share it with you and see if anybody else is experiencing this. Now, I just want to make a disclaimer and let you know that this is my personal opinion. Maybe you experience something else and it doesn't bother you, but this is just what keeps happening to me and it is just driving me crazy. And that is when customers want to order just one tier rather than a multiple tiered cake or tell you the size of the cakes that they want. So it just keeps happening to me. I had somebody last week say that they wanted to order a 10-inch cake and I said, well, how many servings do you need? And she said 10. A 10-inch cake feeds like 30 some people. I don't know where people are getting these numbers in their head of how many servings a cake is. But I go by the Wilton serving chart. It's pretty much standard. Now I have modified it to my liking and I will link it in the description. But when people tell you that they want a certain size, I don't know where they get that in their head. So that's one thing that has really been bothering me. But the other thing mainly that this video is about is when people want to order a one-tier cake rather than 2 or 3 tiers. I think it's because they believe that just getting one tier is going to keep the price down. And I don't know about you, I can bake, fill, ice, and stack a cake in no time. It is the detail in the design that takes the most time and increases the price. For example, I have made these one-tier cakes which have tons of detail in them, and they actually cost more than these simple design 2-tier cakes, because those 2-tier cakes didn't really take much. I just had to stack them, add a little bit of detail, and it was finished. But those 1-tier cakes took a really long time to do with all those decorations. And the same thing with this 3-tier cake is it's a really simple design versus this 2-tier cake, which feeds less, but it was really detailed and it took a lot longer to make. So the 2-tier costs more than the 3-tier. Now you may say, what's the big deal? They just want a 1-tier cake. Why don't you just make what they want? And being in this business over 20 years, I just know what looks good. And yes, my opinion of what looks good may be different than theirs. However, I just know what looks good and what looks proportionate. And that's what my recommendations are based off of. So I have 4 reasons that this really bothers me. And we will start with number 1. The first reason why I don't like to make bigger cake tiers is that as the cakes get bigger, they just look shorter, even if they are the same height as the smaller tiers. And I have some cake dummies to show you what I mean. These cakes are 4 inches high each, and this is a 12-inch on top of a 14-inch. And the diameter of the cake, because it's so big, it just does not look right. The height of the cake looks like it's a little too short compared to the diameter. So yes, you can get a 2-tier cake to feed like 100 people, which people ask me all the time to do, but this is what it's going to look like. Versus if you do 4 tiers, these are also 4 inches high, but the diameter across the top of the cake is not too big that it makes the height of the cake look off. So I just feel like having a taller, more narrow looks so much better than having this short and wide 2-tier cake. The second reason why making one big tier kind of bothers me is because I feel like baking a big cake, number 1, it's going to take longer to bake in the oven. Bigger cakes, you have to bake them at a lower temperature and it takes a longer time to bake. And also I'm using basically the same amount of ingredients. I'm either filling a huge cake pan with a bunch of batter or I'm doing it across smaller cake pans. And it's just the smaller cakes are easier to bake and they're not in the oven as long. The third reason why I don't like to make big 1-tier cakes is because usually I torte my cakes. Sometimes I don't. I have a video where I talk about when I torte and when I don't torte my cakes. That'll be linked below. But when you torte a cake, you cut it in half lengthwise. That way you get 2 shorter height layers. And then you put filling in between the layers and you build the cake. When you have a really big cake, those thin torted layers are difficult to move and they are prone to breaking apart because they're so big and they're awkward to move. I feel like if I have to do it, I'm gonna add an annoyance fee because your big, huge cake is just annoying to make and I don't like it. I don't like moving it, I don't like handling it, I don't like baking it, but anyway. Yeah, so the bigger layers are just more difficult to work with. So that's another reason why I just don't like to do big one-tier cakes. The fourth reason why I don't like making big one-tier cakes or big two-tier cakes is because the decorations are not proportionate to the size of the cake. It just looks weird. A lot of times there's too much empty space and it just doesn't look right. So to show you an example, I actually made this Minnie Mouse face in my Cake Academy. I have information to join my Cake Academy in the description, but I went live and taught them how to make this cute little Minnie Mouse face. And this is pretty much a standard size of a decoration that goes on my cakes. It's about 4.5 inches tall to 3 to 4 inches wide. And if you have a two-tier cake to feed 100, and you stick this decoration on top, it's gonna look so stupid. Like, yes, could I make Minnie Mouse bigger? What am I gonna make her 4 feet wide and 4 feet tall? It's just gonna look stupid. I get so angry and annoyed, but I just don't like the way that it looks. Compared to if you have a more narrow, taller cake and you put the decoration on top, the size is proportionate to the rest of the cake and it just looks so much better, even if I'm putting it on front of the cake. So I just feel like decorating a smaller, taller, more narrow cake, it just looks so much better rather than having something like this. I just feel like it looks so stupid. Now to show you an example, I was asked maybe a year or two ago to make this owl cake. So this girl saw this owl cake that I made, which is adorable. And I believe that the cake is, the top tier is 5-inch and the bottom tier is 7-inch and it feeds like 25 to 30 people. And you see the color distribution in this cake and everything kind of flows really nice. Well, she didn't want 2 tiers. She only wanted 1 tier to feed like 20 to 25. So this cake was an 8-inch tier. And I warned her, I said, when I put the owl and the number 1 on top, it's not going to take up as much space. There's going to be a big void. It's going to look different. She didn't care. And also she wanted it to look like a tree stump, which is brown. And she wanted the owl to be brown as well. And it's a lot of brown on brown. And I just knew that it wasn't going to look right, but she insisted and she wanted it to be that way. And when she picked up the cake, she didn't like it. And I want to be like, I told you. And granted, I know the top of the tree stump dried a little darker than it should have, but it's just so much brown and there's so much extra space. I could have made this cake look so much better if I could have just made it 2 tiers. Now I understand sometimes people don't want to disassemble a tiered cake and cut it and serve it, which is fine, but I would recommend getting a sheet cake instead. And sheet cakes are making a comeback. I just made a video not too long ago of a Snapchat sheet cake, that's hard to say, that I made, and that'll be linked below. But the sheet cake is meant to have a lot of space and a lot of decorations flat on top, and that would look so much better than trying to get like a huge 14-inch cake. I don't know, this is what I prefer. Does anybody else agree with me? Are you getting requests to make just 1 huge tier thinking that it's going to look okay? I don't know. I just feel like it's been happening a lot. I have a couple cake friends in the area. They say that they get the same requests. And I think that a lot of people are not sure. Like, it's our job to educate our customer and let them know the process and what we think is going to look best. Now, have I still done cakes where they've insisted that they just want a certain design and a certain size? Yes. I just usually don't ever post those cakes. You know, they stay in my vault and I'm miserable the whole time while I'm making them. But anyway, so if this is happening to you, let us know in the comments below. Also, if you have any other cake decorating icks, and I still feel weird saying that, so if there's anything else that kind of bothers you in cake decorating, let us know in the comments below and we will see if we can relate to it. Just a reminder, I do have a Cake Academy membership program where I can help you elevate your cakes to the next level. All of that information is listed in the description. Please like this video if you liked it, and if you're enjoying my tutorials, I would be so grateful if you could buy me a coffee. My link is down below. And I would love it if you would keep in touch on socials and you could check out my website. And if you want to stick around, you can watch this video next and hit subscribe and the bell if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. And remember, it's cake, have fun. I will see you on the next one. Bye.